This is CGTN, China Global Television Network.
The Africa Cup of Nations reaches its business end this weekend with the quarterfinals getting underway. On tonight's sports scene, we get the latest of the action from our reporter in Cameroon as we build up to the start of the Beijing 2022 Winter Olympics, where African countries have been showing strong support for the China Games. Hello and a very warm welcome to your home of African sports news from across the continent and beyond. This is Sports Scene, and I'm Mahia Mutua in Nairobi. Also coming up on the program, we turn our attention to the Beijing 2022 Winter Olympic Games as Egypt shows strong support for China. And Cameroonian Francis Ngannou's UFC success sparks mixed martial arts interest in Africa. Welcome to the program. Let's start with the very latest just reaching us from Cameroon, where the host nation has just booked its place in the Africa Cup of Nations semi-finals. The semi-finals of the tournament after beating Gambia 2-0 in Douala. A Karl Toko Ekambi brace put the indomitable Lions past the debutants, who saw their sprinted AFCON dream end in the last 8. After a barren first half, Ekambi headed in the first. After 50 minutes and after Gambia made a triple substitution, the Olympique Lyonnais forward was on hand to rifle into the roof of the net, his second 7 minutes later. Ekambi tournament top scorer Vincent Aboubakar missed chances to extend the lead, but the 2-0 score was enough to send the hosts to the last 4, where they face the winner of tomorrow's quarter-final between Egypt and Morocco. Well, speaking of that match, Egypt and Morocco will clash in the third Africa Cup of Nations quarter-final on Sunday. The North African rivals head to the knockout showdown with injured players and COVID-19 infections. The Pharaohs and the Atlas Lions appear to shift through the gears in the round of 16, but their meeting at the Amadou Ahidjo Stadium in Yaoundé has the makings of a final before the final. CGTN's Adel Mahroui reports from Cairo.
Egypt is about to clash with its biggest football rival, North Africa's Morocco. With 7 continental titles, the Pharaohs by far exceed the 1976 winners Morocco's record of a single AFCON crown. Yet from their previous 29 encounters, Egypt has only won 3.
انت بتتكلم عن منافسة فيها هيكون فيها حماس زيادة.
We're going to see unprecedented enthusiasm for both teams on the pitch. The road to quarterfinals was difficult for both teams, so they will both want to prove that they are the most deserving team. I think the Egyptian team must forget about the past and not focus on the history of match records between them.
This is definitely an early African final. For Egypt and Morocco, it's an Arab derby in the African competition. The Atlas Lions have been on a winning streak, which gives them confidence. There is rising harmony among the players, which makes the son of Wahid Halilhodzic greedy to win the competition. At the same time, we haven't seen Egypt as strong as it was against Côte d'Ivoire in years.
Egypt come to the Morocco showdown exhausted from a 120-minute slugfest against Côte d'Ivoire with less than 24 hours rest. Injuries have also struck the Pharaohs, with first-choice goalkeeper Shenawi missing Sunday's match. Midfielder Hamdi Fathi and defender El Winch are facing a race against time to be fit for the quarter-final. On the other hand, Morocco has confirmed 2 COVID-19 cases among 2 of its reserve players, with fears the infections list could grow.
Overall, such players' absences won't have a great effect on the match. There will be rare opportunities for both teams to score. Therefore, the most focused team will have the advantage. I believe whoever scores first in the match will be the closest to win, because historically the matches between Egypt and Morocco do not witness many goals.
While the head-to-head meeting favor Morocco, Egypt coach Carlos Queiroz enjoys a much better record against the Atlas Lions. The Portuguese defeated Morocco on 2 occasions when he coached South Africa and Iran.
Sure, it's a tactical game, 50-50 between Egypt and Morocco. Before Cote d'Ivoire game, all the predictions are talking about Cote d'Ivoire to the quarterfinal and Egypt out. But now, after the gradual increasing of the performance of the Egyptian team with Carlos Queiroz, with the new formation 4-3-3, I think Egypt could win the cup. But it's depending on a lot of circumstances. After Cote d'Ivoire, we are talking about injuries, we are talking about a very big team.
Egypt and Morocco is a game always filled with historical emotions, football aspirations, and this week it's about a survival chance in the competition. Egypt is only 3 matches away from its record-extending title, while Morocco is much more desperate for its 2nd AFCON title and the first in 46 years. Adil Mahroui, CGTN, Cairo.
Meanwhile, Senegal take on Equatorial Guinea with both sides aiming to progress to the semi-finals. Let's take a look. The last of the 4 quarter-finals pits Africa's top-ranked side in the FIFA rankings against one that sits 94 positions lower than them in 114th. Aliou Cisse's side opened their tournament with a 1-0 win over Zimbabwe in Bafoussam in Group B. They followed that up with a barren draw against Guinea at the same venue before progressing thanks to yet another goalless result against Malawi that saw them through as one of the best 4 third-placed teams. The last match of the group stage saw the Lions of Teranga reunited with goalkeeper Edouard Mendy, who missed the opening 2 matches with COVID. The West Africans soon booked their place in the last 8 with a 2-0 win over Cape Verde that set up the encounter with Equatorial Guinea. However, the team was given a scare when Liverpool forward Sadio Mane suffered a gruesome head injury in the last 16 encounter, but he has since been cleared to play.
I'd like to congratulate the players for their part, their determination, to congratulate the players today for the quality they had to put in, and congratulate the players also on the instructions they followed, and above all, the level they played in this match.
For their part, Equatorial Guinea got their tournament underway with a loss to the heavily fancied Cote d'Ivoire with a 1-0 loss in Group E. They then turned around their results to clinch a 1-0 win over Algeria before a second over Sierra Leone in Limbe. That saw them through in 2nd in their group behind the Elephants of Cote d'Ivoire. Onto the knockout phase, and the National Thunder faced an uphill task against Mali, but after a barren draw they went through, having won 6-5 on penalties.
In these types of tournaments, you play game by game. We are not going to anticipate an event that has not yet arrived. First, we played against Mali and we won. Now we face an opponent who are very strong and are well known in Africa, one of the best teams in Africa. We have to play them fast and see what we are going to do.
Meanwhile, Ghana's Football Association has sacked the national team's coach Milovan Rajevac. This comes after Ghana's early exit from the 2021 Africa Cup of Nations in Cameroon. The Ghana FA now faces a race against time to appoint a new coach to lead the Black Stars in their crucial 2022 World Cup final round qualifier against Nigeria in March. CGTN's Nabil Ahmed Rufai reports from Accra.
Ghana appointed Serbian coach Milovan Rajevac in September last year to lead the national team's bids to win the 2022 Africa Cup of Nations and to qualify for the 2022 World Cup in Qatar. But after a disappointing showing in Cameroon, where the team was knocked out in the group stages, Ghana's Football Association has fired Rajevac. Football analysts say the decision to sack the coach is a right step.
This is our worst performance in the history of the African football. The decision to sack the coach came from government because even cabinet approved it that he should be fired. And yes, FIFA says that don't interfere into football, but who's calling the shot? Is the government. And government places pressure on the GFA and they succumb to it.
The GFA says it will soon announce the reconstituted technical team and management committee of the national team after engaging with all relevant stakeholders. Ghana will play against Nigeria in the 2022 World Cup qualifiers in March. Analysts say Ghana needs to quickly get a new coach to start preparing the team for the World Cup qualifying playoff.
For now, we're being told there are 3 local players who have to look at the transition and build a team against Nigeria. It's going to be a Herculean task. Why am I saying that? We have to try as much as possible and get somebody who knows the team already.
Ghana's football prowess has been dwindling since it made it to the quarterfinals of the 2010 World Cup. While Ghana is now searching for a replacement of coach Milovan Rajvac, analysts also want the GFA to restructure the selection of players for the national team. Nabil Ahmed Rufai, CGTN, Accra, Ghana.
Well, it's time for us to take a short break. Here's what's coming up on Sports Scene. We turn our attention to the Beijing 2022 Winter Olympic Games as Egypt shows strong support for China.
The greatest journeys, the greatest sights, the greatest adventures.
Here in Qanater, this weir allows the locals to walk on water.
We're far more than just TV news. We're your passport to the wonders of Africa.
To bring you stories of struggle, survival and hope.
So let's explore. CGTN. See the difference.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us on Sports Scene. Now, the Beijing 2022 Winter Olympics start next week, and in Egypt, the Cairo Tower lit up the Games emblem as the opening ceremony edges closer. Egypt's iconic landmark put on the dazzling lighting show in support of China at an event that celebrated the 2022 Beijing Winter Olympics. The country now hopes to be part of the winter sporting showpiece in future. Here now is CGTN's Adel Mahroui once more.
The night landscape of the Egyptian capital looked different on Monday. The Cairo Tower lit up with the 2022 Beijing Winter Olympics logo. Its light show marked the 10 days countdown for the Chinese Winter Games.
For the past 65 years, China and Egypt have been working together in unity and together forging a better future. This event in support of the Beijing Winter Olympics reflects our long-standing friendship and the spirit of backing each other. I would like to thank the loving government and the people of Egypt for their deep friendship to the Chinese people.
We wish them all the best. We are sure that China is capable. It's a capable country of having a great Olympics as usual, as they did before in 2008 in the Beijing Summer Olympics and 2014 in the Nanjing Youth Olympic Games. We would hope to have a team representing Egypt in this Winter Olympic Games, but unfortunately we did not qualify in any sport yet.
Without a team in the Winter Games, Egypt wants to highlight that there is more to sports than just athletic competitions. And there's no better way in Cairo to bring the world's attention to that cause than lighting up the tallest building on the Nile banks.
The Cairo Tower is an icon of the Egyptian capital. It is one of the most attractive attractions here. We love that this icon of modern Egypt gets lit for the Beijing Games. It is a symbol of progress and development. The Chinese people see these Winter Olympic Games not just as an athletic competition, but also as an opportunity to promote peace in the world. The Beijing Games is also an opportunity to enrich understanding between the nations of the world.
Egypt has quite a strong history in sports, yet when it comes to the Winter Games, its achievement is extremely brief. Only one alpine skier competed in 3 disciplines in the 1984 Winter Olympics without winning any medal. Just recently, the Egyptian Olympics Committee started developing teams for winter sports.
We have already formed some teams in some winter sports, like ice hockey, like curling, like skating. Okay, very young teams, people who are living abroad, Egyptians who are living abroad, and Egyptians who are living here in Egypt. We have much more now ice rinks all around Egypt. So we have some infrastructure that we can use to get our teams ready.
Although Egypt is not participating in the Beijing Games, the Chinese Winter Olympics has significantly changed the sports scene in Egypt. Sports officials here say that Beijing 2022 Winter Olympics will be the last Winter Games the country will miss. Adel Mahroui, CGTN, Cairo.
Well, the Chinese ambassador to Tunisia and the country's Minister of Youth and Sports visited the construction site of the second Sports, Cultural and Youth Center funded by China in the North African nation. Officials also supported and celebrated the Beijing 2022 Winter Olympic Games that start next week. CGTN's Adnan Chawashi brings us this report.
This Benarus complex is located in the suburbs of the capital city Tunis. It will allow thousands of young people, including athletes and students, to practice sports as well as many cultural activities. The Chinese-Tunisian project is welcomed by the authorities and the local population.
This complex is gigantic. It's a center for sports, youth and cultural activities. It also includes an archaeological site. This achievement is the fruit of a successful partnership with our Chinese friends.
This center will revive the sports and cultural life in the southern suburbs of the capital city, Tunis. This place will gather people from all walks of life and offer the best services for Tunisian youths.
The Chinese ambassador to Tunisia declared that China aims to develop similar projects throughout the country.
This is the second youth and sports center built by China in Tunisia. This new center in Benarus is very sophisticated. I hope that there will be more projects of this type in other regions with the help of the Chinese government here in Tunisia.
Tunisian and Chinese officials welcomed China's successful preparation for the Winter Olympics. The Chinese ambassador noted that the construction of all the venues and supporting infrastructure of the Beijing 2022 Winter Olympic Games was completed on time. Moreover, China will ensure that the Games take place successfully and safely.
We will take on the challenge of organizing the Winter Olympic Games. The world is in the midst of a pandemic and the spread of the Omicron wave, yet China has made all necessary efforts and put in place a series of sanitary measures to make the Winter Olympics a real success. This event will be very successful despite the pandemic.
The opening of the Beijing Winter Olympics will coincide with the Spring Festival on the Chinese lunar calendar. Tunisian fans will watch and support this event, which brings people together.
Tunisian sports analysts assert that the world supports and looks forward to the Winter Olympic Games in China. Beijing will become the first city to host both the Summer and Winter Games. Adnan Chawashi, CGTN, Tunis.
Well, athletes around the world are finalizing their preparations for the winter sporting showpiece in China, and that includes the US luge team. And after winning medals in 2014 and 2018, hopes are high for further podium success in Beijing. CGTN's Dan Williams has that report.
Early morning in Park City, Utah, and a first run of the day for the US luge team. Luge is known as the fastest sport on ice, with athletes hitting speeds of 140 kilometers an hour. Hurtling down the track feet first, every millisecond is vital. For the Beijing Winter Olympics, Jason Turderman hopes to team up with Chris Madster, who won a silver medal at the 2018 Games.
Based off of what we already know about Beijing, it's supposed to be our style of track. It's going to be a longer track, a high-speed track, and an aerodynamic-based track. And we tend to gain time at the bottom of every track in the world. So I do expect us to be competing, for that top spot. We do expect ourselves to be in the mix.
Always having fun, Rob.
Emily Sweeney's last Olympic experience didn't quite go according to plan. She suffered a horrific crash in Pyeongchang, fracturing her back and neck.
It was hard to find any comfort for a while. It was hard to then find motivation. It was hard. I don't like to use the word hard because that means kind of negative things. Like I try to replace it with challenging, but there's nothing that was beyond challenging.
But some 9 months later, Sweeney was back competing and won a bronze medal at a World Cup event in Canada.
Not bad. I didn't want to have this terrible ending to luge, have a crash, and be afraid of it or not know if I could do it again. That just didn't, I didn't want to have that with me for the rest of my life. I still feel the effects of it. I still am managing a lot of things that I never thought I would have to manage. But I did it, so I guess that just shows that we can all do something more than what we think we can do.
The US luge team has enjoyed some Olympic success over the years, but the country is yet to win an Olympic gold medal. If that can be achieved in Beijing, the athletes hope that will give a further boost to the sport.
To grow the sport, a gold medal would certainly help. You know, the USA is very results oriented. The headline is always the person that has the gold medal, so I think us getting a gold medal would certainly help with exposure to the sport.
Although there are still many challenges ahead, this small group of athletes are focused on creating a little bit of US Olympic history in Beijing. Dan Williams, CGTN, Park City, Utah.
Right, well, here's what's coming up after this short break. Cameroonian Francis Ngannou's UFC success sparks mixed martial arts interest in Africa. Welcome back. Now, the eyes of the world appear to be on Africa following Cameroonian Francis Ngannou's successful defense of his UFC heavyweight title. This has sparked more interest in the talent coming out of the continent, but despite all the potential, it comes down to development and support. CGTN's CS Duplessis spoke to Africa's top mixed martial arts coach, Richard Kwan, about the challenge ahead.
Richie Kwan is one of the continent's most influential mixed martial arts coaches, and when he's not coaching his premier athletes for upcoming bouts at various global promotions, he is on the mat teaching his students the art of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
We have people from all walks of life, all races, all religions, and the mat, you know, neutralizes that all, and everyone is the same on the mat, and I think people really enjoy that, and learning a skill, you know, how to defend yourself, understanding what violence is for females especially, has really become a big thing, I think, in South Africa.
South Africa's biggest gym boasts 16 championship titles, 15 of those for the Extreme Fighting Championship. Their success has been built on the guidance of one of the most respected minds in the sport of mixed martial arts. But according to Richie Kwan, more needs to be done than just global promotions coming to Africa in order for the continent to reach its true MMA potential.
The problem is opportunity. That is the biggest thing. There is no opportunity, there is no guidance, there is no support. If we had the support like we did Europe, like we do Asia, like we do South America even, and the US, we would see a massive growth of African athletes dominating all aspects and promotions throughout the world.
Middleweight trailblazer Dricus du Plessis and the exceptionally talented lightweight Don Madge continue to fly the flag for the Rainbow Nation, a country still very new to mixed martial arts.
These guys are doing a great job for the second generation. Amazing job. You have Dricus, you know, 2-0 in the UFC, making big waves for the South African population. You got Don Madge, that was also 2-0 in the UFC, now gone to a massive promotion, PFL.
But for the BJJ black belt, Africa needs to follow the model implemented by China, a nation that is currently reaping the rewards on the global MMA stage.
The Chinese government is funding and is really supporting the sport there. and they are putting kids through programs, teenagers through programs, all the way into adult, funding them to go overseas, you know, really investing in what needs to be done. And that's why I believe the next big champions will come out of China in the next 3, 4, 5 years. We've already seen the first champion come out, you know, and that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Africa has become a focal point for many international promotions, several indicating their interest to stage events in the near future, fueling the motivation for those athletes grinding away to work even harder, so that when their opportunity eventually comes, they too can realize their dream of one day ascending to the pinnacle of their sport and showing why Africa is regarded as the hotbed of talent for global MMA. CS du Plessis, CGTN, Johannesburg, South Africa.
Finally, we round things off still in South Africa, where it goes without saying that the country has long produced some of the world's finest boxers. None of them are as famous as Gary Coetzee, the nation and the continent's only heavyweight world champion. What makes his achievement all the more remarkable is that it came at the height of apartheid and an international sporting boycott. Now his life is about to be turned into a movie. CGTN's Julie Shire has that report.
Harry the Boxburger bomber Coetzee still enjoys legendary status in boxing circles nearly 40 years after he knocked out Michael Dukes in Cleveland, Ohio, to become heavyweight champion of the world. Now his life story will be part of a hotly anticipated biopic, Against All Odds, a project 5 years in the making.
I think it's important for kids to know about Harry Coetzee's story, great African, and what he went through. And I think it's just wonderful people know about the diversity of Africa.
Coetzee always admired Muhammad Ali, and the pair eventually became good friends. Ali's widow, Kalila Kamashu, praised Harry's achievements during South Africa's turbulent times.
It's so similar to Muhammad Ali's strife and them stripping him of everything that he did, and they did the same thing to Jerry. A lot of people in America didn't hear about it. Only people basically in the sports world heard about it, but then this world has changed tremendously.
Dricus du Plessis, the man who is widely expected to become Africa's next UFC champ, will play Coetzee.
Something that I've never done before, acting, and I think it's just the stars work to perfect harmony. Even though I'm an MMA fighter and he's a boxer, it's the same concept of being in combat sports and playing a legend like Harry, who became a world champion in the toughest time imaginable as a South African, is absolutely incredible.
As for the main man himself, he's all smiles.
It really means more than or close to the world heavyweight title I won. Because nobody in Africa ever won a world heavyweight championships.
Coetzee's list of adoring fans is a pretty long one. He's inspired a generation of young stars to follow in his footsteps.
Harry brought a Rainbow Nation, before it was a Rainbow Nation, together where everybody watched him and backed him as a country, as a whole. So me as a former champion of South Africa myself, I'm extremely honored to be able to be mentioned in the same sentence as he had that belt himself so many years ago.
I think a lot of people around the world know Harry, but this movie I'm sure will bring the exposure to South African boxing and to see how great our talent is, and hopefully that opens up more doors for other fighters going forward.
Filming will begin in the coming months, first in Cape Town, then Washington in the US, and finally the Richard Field Coliseum, where Coetzee was crowned champion of the world. Julie Shara, CGTN, Cape Town.
And that's it for this week's edition of Sports Scene. Thanks for watching. Remember, you can send your feedback to the contacts on your screen now and give us a follow on our digital media platforms. As always, thanks for watching. We'll see you again same time next week. We'll leave you now with some images of our move of the week, the sporting highlights, where Ashley Barty ended Australia's 44-year wait for a home winner at the Australian Open when the world #1 staved off a fight back from American Danielle Collins to complete a 6-3, 7-6 win on Saturday.
And it is 2022, our women's singles champion, Ash Barty.